Okay. Okay, guys, just give me quick confirmation. Shall we start with today's session? Okay. So quickly give me confirmation you're able to hear me and you're able to see the slides also properly. So shall we start with today's session? Two people have given me the confirmation. Okay, Purushottam, Gauri, Sanya, Tejasvita, Rutuja. Okay, so we'll start with today's session. Very good evening, all of you. Yes, why not? Why not, Pratik? You can share the link. Okay, so very good evening. Hope you all are well. Okay. Quickly, we'll just take a recap. Quick recap. Yesterday we discussed about Sun Microsystem, right? We discussed that Sun Microsystem, they have come with their own processor called as a Spark, and then different versions, Spark, Ultra Spark, Super Spark and all. So that is a processor specially for supercomputers. Then this organization, Sun Microsystem, they came with their own OS also, based on Unix operating system called as Sun Solaris or Open Solaris. Then they came with their own language also, that is Java, proper object-oriented language, general purpose language, and it is a platform independent language. So that we saw, Sun Microsystem, they came with that three things: their hardware, means their processor, their OS, and their language also. Then we started with history of Java, right? We didn't complete it yet, some part we did it. Like in around 1990 at Sun Microsystem, James Gosling and his team of people, right? They were given one task to write a software which will control electronic devices, right? And that project name was called as the Green Project. Their team name was called as the Green Team. Then they thought of using language C++ because that time C++ was in boom because it's
Not
an
visible, sir.
clear. I'm not visible. I've started. Oh, very sorry.
Nice are sharing nice on the screen.
Yes. Very sorry. I didn't start it. But anyways, I didn't start with any slide. I was just taking a revision of yesterday's session. Okay. Now everything is visible, I guess. So last time, as I said, that Green Project, their team name was Green Team, and this team thought of using C++ because C++ was in boom that time because of its object-oriented nature. So they thought of using C++, and then I gave their team names also. Few members of it, Bill Joy, Patrick Norton, Jonathan, many more were there. Okay, and soon they found out some drawbacks in C++. So quickly we'll just highlight the drawbacks. The first drawback of C++ they found out of multiple inheritance. Isn't it? The diamond problem I showed you. One base class from that two child class, and then from that two child class again a new child. So what was happening, that common parent A was getting replicated till D. So as it was replicated, wastage of memory. To overcome that, C++ has given a solution, but it is a costly solution, a burden to the C++ compiler. Therefore, that was one drawback. Second drawback I showed you, that is automatic garbage collection. So C++ is not having automatic garbage collection. Garbage collection is to be done explicitly. Means you have to release the memory explicitly. The memory which you allocate runtime. Getting on heap, whatever memory you allocate, that memory you have to explicitly release it using delete or free function. In C++ delete, in C free. So unless and until you explicitly release it, it won't go into the free list, right? So yesterday I showed you what happened, that is memory leaks. Memory leak means the memory which is not freed and which is not accessible also, because you have lost its address. So as you have lost the address, as the address is lost, you are not able to access it, but you have not given to the system also, because you have not freed it. So that was one problem. Then the third problem was architecture and platform dependent. So as I said, if you compile a C program on a Windows compiler, and you'll get a executable for your code. So can you run that executable on any system, or you can run only on Windows compatible? So obviously on Windows compatible if you have compiled it on Windows. So if you have compiled on Windows, you will get a executable which is compatible to Windows only. You cannot run it cross, you cannot do. Means the same executable, I'll take it on Linux or on Mac machine, I won't be able to run it. You understanding? No? Clear? I have to separately compile it for Mac system. I have to separately compile it for Linux system using those system compilers. So it was not platform and architecture independent, it was
सर
dependent. Clear? हाँ, yes guy.
सर
Yes.
स्क्रीन पॉज आहे.
हाँ, current मी slide हेच करत नाही मी. I'm not moving the slide. I'm just taking a revision of yesterday's. Clear? And the last drawback was, guys, the last drawback,
Pointer.
that is pointer. So pointer gives direct access to memory, and as the pointer gives direct access to memory, it can be an problematic thing. Means as you get the access to the memory directly, you can create any hazardous situation in your system. So
Introduce virus.
You can introduce viruses. Okay. So to overcome all these problems, Gosling and his team thought of designing a complete new language only, which will be syntactically based on C++. Concept wise C++, class, constructors, destructor, and all that thing. Function, parameter, technique, operators, keywords, all that things like C++, but all the drawbacks eliminated. Correct? And they designed a complete new language, and they gave the name as Oak. And why Oak, that also I told you. As he was seeing out of his office window, he saw oak plants, and then they decided, let's give the name to the language as Oak. And they came with the language Oak. Oak was syntactically same like C++, but the problems eliminated. When no multiple inheritance, so diamond problem won't arise. Automatic garbage collection means the moment your refer to somewhere else, the previous is automatic put into the free list. Then they tried to implement it platform independent. How, that we'll learn now, don't worry. When we'll come to Java features, I'll tell you how they introduce the concept called bytecode and how that bytecode is platform independent. All that I'll tell you. And other drawbacks like pointer eliminated, so no direct access to memory. So all that eliminated, and they came with a language Oak. Getting? Then few products were made in Oak, like Star 7 and all. Some products to control television system. They used it in some EPBX system also. They are called as exchange boards, telephone exchange boards. So for controlling that also they used Oak. And meantime, Oak was given time to mature. Mature meaning let the library become more better, let the compilation become more faster, memory management efficient. So they tried to make it Oak mature. But meantime, yesterday I told you, meantime they found that there was a copyright problem. Getting? There was already an organization with the name Oak. So now the copyright issue came, and now they were supposed to change the name of their language. Getting? And that's what now we are going to discuss today. Okay? And we'll try to complete with the history part of Java, and then we'll start with the features of Java, because I'm sure you're more excited to learn the programming. right? But again, all these concepts, unless and until we complete, we cannot start with the Java program. So to start with first Java program, all these prerequisites, elementary things are needed, okay? And all these things are also asked in interviews. Getting all these basic things are also asked. So now they were supposed to rename Oak, as I said, because there was a copyright problem. So why? Because there was Oak Technologies. Oak Technologies was already an organization with the name Oak. So they claimed their copyright problem. And now what should be the new name? So these whole James Gosling and his team of people, they were thinking about what name to give. And they were sitting on the table having coffee. And at that time they were deciding about what name to give. Getting? So few names came into list, and from that one was finalized, which happens in our Indian system also. A baby is born, then now the name is to be given. So they ask many of them. No? Nowadays, so social media is there. Nowadays, people put on Insta, baby born, please suggest some name. On the Facebook, they'll put a status that baby, here is a baby girl, baby boy, please suggest some name. So here, these team of people, they were thinking about what name to give. They came with some few names. Okay, this green team, they were having coffee. Few names came. One was Java, another name DNA, third name Silk. Few names were listed. Now Java, from there's one island, Java Island, I hope you know, and from that Java Island, coffee is being produced, and the coffee beans which come from that Java Island, they are very famous, world famous, and that coffee beans are called a Java coffee beans. And these people were also fond of drinking coffee, especially of those beans, that coffee beans which specially come from that Java Island. So therefore they thought of, let's finalize with the name. Silk was cancelled, DNA was cancelled, and finally they came with a conclusion that will give the name to that Oak language as Java. But just see here, till now, till this instance, till this history which I am telling, Java was used only to control electronic devices. Though today Java is called as a language of internet, but till this instance it was a language just to control electronic devices. Getting? So Java from Java Island, as I said, and they are world's best coffee producer. Getting? It's a special coffee bean, and in India also, in many famous coffee shops are there, costly coffee shops. There also you get it. You have to just prescribe, we want coffee with so and so beans only. So it's called as a Java beans, and these people were drinking coffee specially of it. So therefore they decided, let's give the name Java, and that's the reason the cup and the saucer with the vapors, getting, that became the official logo of Java, which is today also the official logo, which you can see here at the bottom corner. Getting? So now they named it, then this become the official logo, this cup saucer with the vapors. Getting? So that was the final name, official logo, right? And this is that mascot of that Java language. So that is called Duke, official Java mascot. Okay, that is many times used in Java applets and all. Now till here, I hope you got it. I hope you all are clear with it. Okay. This whole journey till here you got, right? It was Oak, and then Oak was used in many electronic device controlling, then the copyright, then they came with a new language, that is new name, how the name Java came into existence, and till this whole thing 1993 had come. The work started at 1990, 1993 came. Now in 1993, WWW, that is World Wide Web, was coming into more focus. Okay, WWW, that is World Wide Web, was coming into more usage. But that WWW was having rich colors, rich text, using HTML. Through HTML, you could create the web pages. Okay, but it was not having any interactivity. Getting? Interactivity means it is able to take the data from the user, and then that data is getting submitted somewhere, then processed, and then again the reply is going back. That was not possible. It was plain static pages in which you could show the information, you could insert pages, you could format it by using beautiful colors and font and all, but no interactivity. And now these Java team thought of, because till now they were using Java for hardware controlling. Now they thought of why not to use Java to make this web interactive. Getting, guys? So around 1993, as I said, World Wide Web, WWW, was coming into too much usage. It was coming in usage. Okay. Around 1995, 97, till that time also it was too costly only concept. Using web and all was a rich people work like. So in this, pages were with a rich text, having good fonts and colors, even images you could insert, but only the thing is no interactivity. You understanding, no? You cannot take the data and then the data is going to the server, then on the server side some program is running which is interacting with some other servers and it is giving some reply back. Nothing was happening. Plain text pages. Getting? With a image and all. Now this team thought of why not to use Java to make this pages interactive. The team thought of using Java to make web interactive and dynamic. And they came with one concept called as Java applets. Okay, they introduced one concept called Java applets. Okay, but now in your BCS course they have removed that applet mechanism, but I didn't see the semester 2 course, so maybe in sem 2 they might have moved it. In the old course these applets and all were in the first sem course only. So, or maybe they might be thinking applets and all now have become too absolute. When nowadays applets and all are not used, more better, faster technologies have come other than better than applet. Applet has gone to a back foot and some more faster methods have come. So anyway, it's absolute, so maybe they might have removed that topic, but in the old course it was. So they came with a concept called applets. Getting? It's called as a Java applet. But now you'll say, what are Java applets? You can say they are Java programs, okay, but Java executables. Getting? Java executable. Now Java executable speciality is it can execute on any system. Java executables are not like your C, C++ executables. Means if it is a C executable, so it is specific to the platform. So Windows means any other Windows only, not on Linux. But this is having a speciality that Java is a platform independent language. You understanding? So whenever you compile a Java code and you get a Java executable, it is a neutral code. Means it can be run on any system. But then you'll say how it is possible. I'll come to it, don't worry. Clear? In detail I'm going to talk. So they created Java applets. Now these Java applets means they are small Java programs embedded in an HTML page. They are embedded within an HTML page and then viewed within the browser, because HTML can be viewed only within what? I hope you all know. HTMLs can be understood only by the software called browser, your web browser. So web browser is only having ability to understand HTML tags. So what was done? These Java programs were embedded in a HTML page. Getting? And then that HTML page, when we were viewing it in a browser, this applets used to run and the output used to be seen in the browser. Getting? So how it is, I'll explain it in more detail, don't worry. So what are these applets? So I said they are small Java program. They are embedded in some special tags. Some special HTML tags are there. And in that tags, you are referring that applets. Correct? And then these HTMLs are run within your browser. So when you are running that HTML within the browser. So inside that HTML tags, you have referred that applets. So that applets get executed and their output is seen in the browser. Getting? Now, at that time, what the problem this team had, that if these applets were to be run within the browser, getting? If you're supposed to run within the browser, then that browser is to be modified, because already browsers were made by the companies, different browser making companies. So they had come with their browser, but within that browser, if the applet is to be run, then that browser was supposed to be modified by those companies. You understanding or no? Means that browser was to be made applet compatible. The browser should be able to run the applet. So obviously, whatever browsers they have made, they have to come with the next version browser, which will be applet compatible or applet enabled. Means such browsers in which you can run applet also. Okay, so initially the power of Java was not known to many people in the world. So that time these browser making companies, whichever were there, Netscape Navigator was the very famous one. I started my career with that Netscape Navigator. You people can just see it in a Wikipedia, or if you Google, you'll see just the images. Many don't know about it. Then other way there, Internet Explorer and now Mozilla Firefox and all. Google Chrome is the famous one now in your generation. According to your generation, Google Chrome is the famous one. Why? Because it's having many more plugin facilities and all. So many industry also prefer Google Chrome, but Internet Explorer and Netscape Navigator and all, they were old browsers. So these browser making companies were not ready to come with the next version browser in which these applets were compatible. You understanding? Because those companies thought that they were not yet confident with the power of this language. You understanding? Which happens many times. Like you might have heard about one story of current story of our Tokyo Olympics. Like one athlete, I guess from US, the shoe brand, like that it's a famous shoe brand, and then they rejected her because she got pregnant, and now she created her own brand only. Getting her shoe brand only. If you have read that history, that story, I don't know whether you have read it. Clear? The same way, this was new at that time. So these famous companies, they thought of what? They don't know the power of this language, how much powerful it will be. So why to come with a new version? Getting? Now this team of Sun, those who came with this concept, they thought of, okay, you are not ready to come with a new version of browser. If you are not ready to come with a new version of browser, no problem. We will create our own browser. And they came with their own browser. Getting? In which first time these applets were tested. These applets were tested in that browser called as a Hot Java. That Hot Java is the browser made in Java itself by this team. But then afterwards, when the power of applets people started knowing, then these people also came with a new version. Afterwards, they came with a new version. Later, they announced support for it. So announced support means that they didn't took a press conference and they announced like from today we are with you. Not like that. They came with a new version of browser which was Java applet compatible. Means in those browsers you can run applet also. But later, initially they were not ready to come. Therefore, these people came with their own browser. Getting? So team designed their own browser called Hot Java, and in that browser, first time these applets were tested, and soon many other companies also gave their support, like Netscape, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, all gave the support. Support meaning you're understanding, na? Support means not the concept of Indian politics. Getting? where the person is today in this party and tomorrow is in other party. So not like that. Here what I'm saying is that they announce the support means they came with a new version of browser in which that applets could be run. Getting? But till then they tested it on this hot Java, but which was made in Java itself. Agreed? I hope you got it. So 1995 official announcement of Java 2. So till then, can you see that till then Java now became the language of internet. You understanding? So till 1993 it was just a language to control electronic devices. Then with the boom of WW, they came with the concept of applet to make it interactive. Getting? Then to run those applets, they came with their own browser. Soon many other browser making companies gave their support. Until then 1995 introduced. Now officially Java was made available to people. People means not anyone. People means programming community. The programmers community was made available with Java, so that they can use that development kit and that library, and they can also develop something using that language. Getting? So officially 1995 Java was made available to all the programmers, and then people started downloading that tools and libraries, and they started developing their applications using that language. Getting? But then did you think like why they thought of using Java only to make these applets? Because the original feature of Java, the main important feature of Java is platform independent, which you'll get more clear once I'll come to the features. Once I'll take all the features of Java, it will become more clear. But what was the speciality of Java? That Java is platform independent, meaning compile once, and you'll get a bytecode that is called as a Java executable, and you can run that executable on any system. Let the system be any, let it be Mac, let it be Windows, let it be Linux, anything. On any system you can run that Java executable. You understanding? So compile once and run anywhere. That was the main goal, and internet needs that principle only, don't you think? Because internet is a interconnection of heterogeneous machine. It's not a connection of homogeneous machine. Means all the machines which are connected in the internet, all are not using same OS. Some are using Windows, some are Mac system, some are Linux based system. In that too many distros are there. So what I'm saying, all the machines in the globe which are connected, they are with any platform, and on any platform you should be able to run it. Getting? I'll show you the simple diagrammatic explanation. Now this is the server where that applets were kept. Getting? So that applets which are in the bytecode form, they are called as dot class, and dot HTML, which will have some special tags in which that dot class you are referring. That dot class you are referring in that HTML, and that HTML is having some special tags in which it is referred. Now both are kept on the server storage. Agreed? Now different clients in the globe are giving the request to the server, okay, for that applet. You understanding? So now different. So maybe this is a Mac system, this is Windows system, this is Linux system, doesn't matter. They send the request to the server for the applet. So actually they first send the request to the HTML only. So that HTML is delivered. First the HTML is delivered to the client. The request come. That HTML is given to the client. Then the client browser is running that HTML. Means it is running the tags. And while running the tag, it finds out some special tag in which this applet is referred. Can you imagine that? First the HTML will be delivered. While interpreting the HTML tags, it will encounter some special applet tag in which that dot class is referred. It will again send a request for dot class. Server will download that dot class In which machine? In that individual client machine. So the same dot class, see, same executable is not different. It is compiled once and run anywhere, and let the systems be anything. Let it be Mac, let it be Windows, let it be Linux. Anywhere on any system, you can run that same compiled bytecode. You'll say, but how it is possible? So for that, we need one virtual machine called as a Java virtual machine. It's a software which is developed by Sun people. Sun Microsystem only has developed. And they are so smart that they have developed it for every operating system. Means they have developed a JVM for Linux, they have developed a JVM for Windows, they have developed a JVM for Macintosh also. You understanding, guys? So now the request will come for HTML. HTML comes in that HTML tag. There is a request for applet. Again, the request for applet go, applet downloaded. And when that applet come, this JVM runs it and shows the output. Getting? So same way this machine's JVM will run it and show the output. Same way this machine's JVM will run it and show the output. Getting? So that is the benefit. So here why they took the advantage of Java, because Java is platform independent, and in case of internet, platform independency is going to be a very big benefit, because all the machines connected are of not same type. So we will take that advantage of compiling once and running everywhere. But then you may say, like, then all the machines in the globe should have JVM, isn't it? So they already have. JVMs are always shipped with every OS. Means whenever you install any OS, along with that who always come? A JVM. Getting? So if you install Mac, then also a JVM is shipped with it. If you install Linux, if you install Windows, every machine will have their JVM. You understanding? That is the benefit. Like, okay. So I hope this in short you might have got. So now quickly we will go with the sequence of events, you can say. Okay, how each and everything happened from 1990 till 1996, how one by one everything happened. Like, okay, so quickly I'll go through it. 1990, as I said, Sun Microsystem, their green project. Okay, then it was a green project, means it's a software to control electronic devices. Around 1991, they created new language, that is Oak. Okay, 1992, different applications of Oak were made, like controlling electronic devices, home appliances, home security system. In India, still we people don't use home security systems. In India, only those who have big bungalows, they keep it. Correct? But now the trend should come that every house should have a security system. Correct? So in that security system also, which is IoT based and all, Internet of Things and all, I hope you might be knowing. So they used that language Oak for creating such softwares which will control electronic devices. To control home appliances using a remote or a touch screen. Then around 1993, WW, I told you, right? But then meantime they got to know that Oak is to be renamed, right? So they came with the concept of applet, 1993. What the benefit of applet was, keep once only on the server, then any client in the globe which is connected to the internet can access it. I hope you are getting. Downloaded and run on the machines connected to the internet. So once you create it, keep it on the server and any client can access it. Let the client be a Windows base, let the client be a Mac base, or let the client be Linux base. Can anyone access the same applet and run on their system? Isn't it, guys? Okay, and why it was possible? Can anyone tell me if you have understood? No, not single person. Huh.
It was platform independent.
Okay, platform independent, right? Means create once and run anywhere.
Anywhere.
That was the principle, policy. कि create once means compile once, and the same executable you can run on any machine. Right? It's clear what you are saying, correct? But every machine were having what to run it?
Java virtual
Browser.
Yes.
Java
Yes,
virtual machine.
yes, very good. In the browser, you could see the output, but to run that Java executable, you need one more software called as a Java Virtual Machine. And were Java Virtual Machines made by the Sun company for all OS? Did Sun? Yes, they made JVM for Linux also, JVM for Mac, JVM for Windows. Even they created JVM for your Android systems also. Means your cell phones. Getting? If your cell phone is also having different type of OS, for that also. Actually, Android is also internally made with Linux kernel only. Android's original kernel is Linux only. Okay. So for cell phones also JVMs are available. And that is the reason you can run that Java programs in the cell phone also. That was the benefit. Okay. Then around 1994, they came with the browser in which this applet could be run, because initially those browser making companies were not ready to give the support. No? So they came with their own browser only called as Hot Java, getting, which was made in Java itself, in which first time it was tested. Getting? Then 1995 officially to the people they told that Oak is not Oak but it is Java. Getting? And then at that time many browser companies gave their support, like Firefox, Chrome and Internet Explorer, and nearly many browser making companies gave the support. Support meaning you understood, na? Support meaning they came with the new version of browser, getting, in which applets were enabled. You could run applets, getting, and around 1996 they say it became the language of internet, getting, and still it is a general purpose language also. Means you can create standalone programs, desktop applications, hardware controlling programs, getting. So all that you can use it for automations, you can use it for many other activities, for network programming, lot of things you can use Java. But the major application of Java is for internet. Getting? Means today also maximum time Java is used for internet purpose. But then again Java is only not the language for internet, because the other companies are also there. Na? They also started coming with their technologies, right? There were many other technologies for web development. Getting? So now today's day you cannot say only Java is the language for internet. There are many. Like Microsoft came with their own ASP.NET. Through that you can develop. PHP people came with their technology through which web applications can be made. So there are many. Getting? Even other languages are there, like Ruby and all, Ruby on Rails and all. That is also used for web development and all. So not only Java, but as you are learning, we should not say bad about it. Yes or no? As you have started with the mission of learning Java, so you should tell the good things, but you should know about the other technologies also, which will be helpful in your interviews. Like, okay. So I hope in short you got to know about the history of Java. Right guys? So quick confirmation so that we can start with. Okay, Prateek is asking something like, can you explain more to of Java? Yes, I'll come to it. Don't worry. Correct? When we'll come to the features, you'll come to know more. When I'll come to the features, you'll understand more.
So you was also going to tell about Green project, why it is named as Green project.
That is your task. Like each and everything I will not tell you. Yesterday I told you should do some exploring work. Getting? I told like that Green project name is also having another history. So again telling that will again become a time consuming work. Our main goal is now to learn more of Java programming, isn't it? So we should, as early as possible, should start with the programming part of Java. So you explore, you do as a homework, getting, find out, you Google it, you read some books And still, if you are unable to understand, you tell me. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. About JVM, we'll talk more once we start with the features. Okay? Okay? So, shall we start with the features of Java?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Then we will be coming to other features, other concepts also, like OOP concepts and all. All the things we'll be learning. Don't worry. Okay. First, we'll say, it's also called as Java buzzwords. Huh? I'm going according to the syllabus only. Don't worry. So Java buzzwords also they call it as, or simple terms, features of Java. So what are the characteristics which is making Java famous, or why we should learn Java? Okay, right? So in that, few features are there. I'm just going to first list out, and then each we will detail, learn. Now initially all will not take, few first 4-5 features, and then we will quickly dive into the programming part, because I'm sure you're more keen to learn the programming part, right? So first few features we'll discuss, and then we will quickly move to the first Java program, then how to write the program, then how it is going to get executed, and what tools we'll need. All one by one we'll learn. The first important feature of Java, that is, it is compiled and interpreted. I'll come to it. Second, platform independent and portable. Okay. Third, object oriented. It is object oriented language. Fourth, robust and secure. Okay. So when we'll take object oriented feature, that time only I'll cover one more topic. There's another topic called object oriented features. So all those features I'll try to cover in this point only. What is class, what is object, what is inheritance, what is polymorphism, all that I'll try to tell here only. Robust and secure, then Java is simple, small and familiar. Multi-threaded and interactive. Now this feature you'll be learning in the next semester. Semester 2, there will be one chapter specially for this. Then high performance, means not that good like C, C++. Performance wise, C programs are always faster, but better than that, correct? And not better than purely interpreted. So that I'll tell you how it is giving an intermediate performance. Dynamic and extensible and distributed. Getting? Now this distributed concept also you'll be learning in next sem. You'll have one network programming chapter also, socket programming. So all that we'll be learning in this distributed feature. So these are just the features I have highlighted. Now all these features one by one we'll discuss. Okay. In that, the first feature we are going to talk about, that is compiled and interpreted. Okay. Now generally the languages are either only compiled or they are only interpreted. But Java is hybrid. It is pseudo technique. Means it's not a pure, pseudo means false. Means it is not a true compiled or not true interpreted. It's a hybrid, uses both the technique. Getting? But what do you mean by compilation and what do you mean by interpretation? So is it a technique of translation? Yes guys, anyone can just say yes, no. So
Yes,
it's a method of compilation. Okay. So compiled and interpreted. So compilation and interpretation is a technique, or it's a method of translating your one language code, that is high level language code, into target, that is machine level. Right? Now normally your machine is obviously understanding its native language called as language of zeros and ones, that is machine language. And you people are going to program in high level language, which is more closer to English like. So our programming language is high level, isn't it? We are going to write the program more in English like statement. You understanding? But that English like statement your computer won't understand, because its native language is zeros and ones. So you have to translate this high level language code into machine level. Getting? And for doing that, we need some translators. So compilation and interpretation is a translation technique. Understanding, guys? Okay. So compilation policy is what? That I'll tell you. And there are many languages which are pure compiled languages. Okay. The best example is C, C++, okay, Pascal, old Pascal language, COBOL. They are pure compiled languages, right? So in that case, what is happening? It will take the source program, whatever the source program is, .c or .c++, getting? And now this compiler will take the entire code. That is the compilation policy. Compiler, normally in a production stage, means when you want to distribute your program to others, that time compiler is always preferred. So it takes your source code, finds error if there are, but it will tell you errors in the whole code, entire code, wherever along with the line number, it will tell you the errors. And if there are errors, that will be listed, but not. So it's going to translate it into a target code called as a executable code. Getting? And now that executable is always in a file form. Remember, it is stored as a file on the disk, and you can run this file any number of times. Once it is saved on the disk, you can run it any number of times. So it is compiled once, run any number of times, not run anywhere. I'm not talking about anywhere. It is any number of times. So as many times you want, you can load this in memory and execute it. Getting? So compilation policy is this. It takes the source code. In the whole source code, it checks whether there are errors. Yes, so it will tell you along with the line number. No, so it will convert it into a target code. Okay? Also called as a executable. Getting? And that executable is a native code. It's a machine language which your CPU, underlying CPU can understand it because it is in its language form, which CPU can understand. Now this code is loaded in the memory and the CPU will run it any number of times. Then there is another policy also called as interpretation. There are some languages which are interpreted based. Getting? Like very old language like BASIC. We studied it in school days, like in 10th and all, it was BASIC. Then GW Basic, Q Basic, they were versions of BASIC. Then in the recent one, you can say Visual Basic, VB Script, JavaScript. JavaScript and Java are totally different. Please don't confuse. JavaScript and Java is not same. Getting? They are, all the features are same. Their genre is features are different. Their genre is different. So please don't at all put Java and JavaScript in one category. Getting? Java is a static type language. JavaScript is a dynamic type. It is a loosely type. This is a strict type language. So don't confuse. So JavaScript and that you can consider PHP and all. They are interpreted languages. So what happens in that? It takes your PHP or your JavaScript code. Getting? Or your basic code, very old basic code, that is BAS files. And this interpreter does the translation line by line, not the entire code like here. Getting? It will just line by line. Line by line means statement by statement. So many people think one line, two line. Not like that. One complete statement. Like if it is a if statement, so it will treat that whole if as one statement. You understanding? One while loop, a for loop, whatever. So statement by statement. So interpreter will take the statement, convert it into the target code, that is machine code. But that machine code is never saved in a file form. It is in the memory only. It is a in-memory machine code. And that is given to the underlying system for execution. That is for CPU, it will be given to the CPU for execution. Understanding, guys? CPU will run it. Again, the next statement converted to machine code and then given to CPU. If at any statement there is an error, it will halt there only. It will show the error and stop there. Clear? So that is the basic difference between a compilation and an interpretation. Compilation, entire errors and converted into an executable, and that executable is in a file, and that file you can run. Interpreter, line by line. Line by line means statement by statement. Convert to machine code, give it to the CPU for execution. This machine code is never in the file, it is in the memory only. Next time when I want to run, again I have to take the source code. Correct? So these are the two separate translation policies: compilation, interpretation. Java follows both. Correct? So as I said, either the languages are only compiled or only interpreted. Some languages are either compiled or either interpreted, not both. But Java follows both. See here, like C, C++, Pascal are only compiled language. PHP, Ruby, Perl and all, even JavaScript or very old like BASIC, they are all pure interpreted language. The difference just now in a diagram form I told you, when it is compiled, complete source code errors are found. No, convert it into a executable, it's a file, and run that file any number of times. Again, you don't have to do the compilation till the source code doesn't change. Correct? And in case of interpretation, line by line translation, the translated machine code is in the memory given to the CPU, run it. Next time, again you have to work on the source code. Correct? So when you are in a development stage, not at the production stage, you are just developing step by step, you are checking whether it's working fine or no. So then interpretation is preferred. Okay? But Java follows both. How the hybrid mechanism. And this hybrid technique is not first come in Java. Before that, Python has introduced this concept. And how these languages copy from each other. That's the thing. Getting? They can do that copycats. Some concept from here, and then they do some modification and they present that as if that is done by them. This concept was later copied by Microsoft people in their .NET framework. So .NET framework is later come, like not at the time when Java came. The .NET architecture has come later. And this concept of compiled and interpreted, this hybrid mechanism, pseudo translation, was already there in Python language. And Python is an older language than Java. Though it is now getting a red carpet, now it is having good days because of AI, ML and data science and in analytics and all. But it is an older language. Before Java, Python had come. So anyway, Java follows both compilation and interpretation. How it is diagrammatically, I'll try to show you. Again, we'll see on the slide as well. I hope you all are hearing me carefully. You're not getting distracted. Yes or no? I'm sure about it. Because those who are serious, they will sure hear me carefully. Those who are casual, they'll not. Getting? Okay, so I hope you are hearing me. Assume this is one system. Okay, let it be a Windows-based system. Right? Now, on that system, there is a Java compiler which is developed by, we'll call it as a Java compiler, Java C, which is developed by Sun people. Sun Microsystem has developed it and given it to we people. Means they have distributed it to the entire programming community and people have started using it. So there is a Java compiler. So you will create your Java source file, whatever the source file is, with the extension .java. Okay, so that will be a file only. Obviously, it is going to be a file, and that file will give it to this Java compiler. Now, compiler, no, so it will follow compilation policy. Compilation policy means you got entire. So it will take the entire source code, and in that if there are errors, it will tell you the errors. But no, then it will convert it into a dot class. Getting? It will convert this dot Java into dot class. Getting? Same concept in which technique? .NET framework. There also more than 40 languages are compiled into one common assembly. and then that common assembly only is later converted into actual machine code. Same technique they have followed. Similar principle Python also follows. So Java compiler will take the source code, errors, it will tell you. If there are no, so it will convert it into one dot class file, which is called as a bytecode. Okay, and bytecode means only Java executables. Means every Java executables are bytecodes. Okay, but you may say, then what is bytecode? What is the speciality of it? Remember, bytecode is like a machine code, but it's not a machine code. Means it looks like a machine code, but it is not a true native code. Native code means, you understand, native code means that code which your CPU, your underlying hardware can understand it. The underlying CPU can understand because it is in its understandable language. So it is not. Getting? So you can say bytecode is like a machine code, but it is a machine code for a hypothetical machine, not for a real machine. Means it is a machine code for a hypothetical machine, imaginary machine. It is not a machine code of your real machine. Getting? Or in short, you can say, if this bytecode, I load it in the memory and tell the CPU, please run, it won't be able to run because it is not in CPU understandable form. Means it is not in the native form. You're getting, guys? Clear? So this bytecode is created by your compiler. And now this bytecode is given to one more utility, okay, one more part, which is also developed by Sun. And Sun has developed this for every platforms. Getting? It's called as JVM or Java Virtual Machine. You can say like it is like a OS. It behaves like a OS because lot of functionality of OS it performs. Like OS responsibility is to start an application, terminate an application, to allocate memory, to do garbage collection, do scheduling. All that responsibilities this JVM does. Means allocation of memory for your objects, deallocating, that is garbage collection, thread scheduling. Getting? Lot of activities this JVM does. Like. And one more activity which is a very, very important responsibility of the JVM is conversion of this bytecode line by line into actual machine code. Getting? I hope you got it. So now what this JVM is going to do, take the bytecode, but statement by statement, the bytecode is converted into the actual machine code. But this machine code is bound to that OS on which this JVM is running. Means if this JVM is Windows JVM, it is having knowledge of Windows and the underlying hardware. So similarly, getting, if the same concept is there on Linux system, getting, so that Linux system is also having its own JVM. Please understand, guys. Getting? Why? Because some people have developed JVM for Linux also. The Linux system also is having JVM. Getting? So that JVM is also having ability to take the bytecode, convert to machine code. But that machine code will be bound to Linux. And this JVM which makes the machine code is bound to Windows. And same way it will be for Mac also. You understanding? So now here the interpretation policy come. Here the compilation, and that's why I said it is pseudo concept. Getting? Means it's a hybrid technique. Compilation and interpretation both followed. You're getting? So this JVM will take the bytecode, line by line convert the bytecode to actual machine code, and then that machine code is given to the underlying hardware for execution. But still, here the policy of what is followed, here the policy of compilation, entire source code is converted to bytecode, and here line by line bytecode is converted to machine code. You understanding? and therefore here the interpretation policy, here the compilation policy is there. Agreed? So what this JVM will do, take the bytecode, line by line convert to machine code, give it to the CPU for execute. This machine code will never be in a file form. This machine code is never in a file form. Means whenever you want to run any Java program, again, you need to have this bytecode. Means if you want to run any Java code, you need to have this Java executable. And who is the Java executable? This bytecode dot class. Correct? So next time if I want to run my Java code, I'll need this dot class that will be directly given to the JVM machine code. Later they introduced it, like this Sun people were not going to remain idle at a time. Like now they have come with one Java language and now they're sitting idle. Not like that. Continuously they are coming with the next version with better libraries and better tools. Getting more on security and all. They were thinking, which happens in every area. No? You can see, like in automobile industry, if you see. So if 25 years back, if you think that time the cars and now the cars, continuously they are coming with the new technologies in it. They have not come with one car 25 years back and the same car is till now. No. Getting? Continuously there is upgradation in it. And in every field, in our education field, everywhere the upgradation has to be done. So these people later came with a better JVM. Okay, which is following one concept called JIT. JIT, that is just in time. So I'll talk about it later because now I don't want to elaborate this more. They introduced that concept of JIT to make this activity little better, because every time bytecode to machine code. So here can we improve little better performance can be improved or no. So they came with a concept called just-in-time compiler. What that is, I'll tell you later. But this is the basic policy which Java follows. Okay, so pictorially I'll try to show you any editor. So there are many editors. We will be using Eclipse and all. Or simple VI editor also you can use. It's up to you, guys. You can use VI editor, or if you want, you can do it everything on command line. So initially 1 or 2 programs will do on command line, and then we will shift to one IDE called Eclipse. Some people use IntelliJ also. Some people use NetBeans. Many are there. Okay. So text editor. So any text editor means it's a software through which you can create your source program, isn't it? So it's a software through which you will create your source program, call it as your Java source file with the extension .java, name anything. Then that will be given to the Java compiler, which Sun people have given us. Sun Microsystem has developed a compiler for every platforms and JVM also for every platform. What this compiler will do, will take the source code, check whether there is any syntax errors, semantic errors. If yes, then it will tell you syntax and semantic errors. No, it will convert it into a Java executable. But one thing I forgot to tell you, this bytecode is in a file form. But when this bytecode is converted to machine code, it is in a memory. Because here the interpretation policy is there. But bytecode is in a file form. You can see this dot class in the directory. So Java executable, also called as a bytecode, which will have extension dot class. Now don't make a conclusion from this example that whatever is the name of your source file, it will be the same for dot class. Not like that. This dot class name doesn't depend on this. Then you'll say it depends on what? Don't worry, I'll tell you when we'll come to the programming part. Now this dot class is given to another utility called as a Java virtual machine, also called as JVM. And this JVM, Sun has developed it for all platforms. Initially, very initially, some systems were not ready, to reveal their architecture, because they need to know the architecture of their system so that they can make JVMs for it. If Sun people want to make JVM for Linux, they want to make JVM for Windows, they want to make JVM for Mac machine, so they need to know the architectures of it. then only they can make JVMs. So there were some systems like IBM's and all, IBM systems, they were not ready to give that information. So that time JVMs for IBM machines were not available. But later they also revealed it, and now for that IBM machines also there are JVMs available. Means in the whole world, in the whole globe, whichever machine if you take, it will have a JVM, irrespective of any hardware and any platform. Okay, now what this JVM is? It is interpreter. So line by line policy only. So line by line it will convert to machine code and give it to the underlying platform for execution. Getting? So that is the policy Python follows. Java follows. Okay, it is compiled also and it is interpreted also. Getting or no? The bytecodes are interpreted and source codes are compiled. Agreed? And whatever output you get. Now, what is bytecode? I told you. If you open and see the bytecode, it will look like your machine code only. Getting? Because it's not a human readable form. So as I said, it is a machine code, but it is a machine code for the real machine or for some virtual machine.
Virtual machine.
Getting? It's not for a real machine. It is for some virtual machine, and that virtual machine is having knowledge to convert it to actual machine code. So this virtual machine will take this bytecode and convert it to real machine code. But if this JVM is of Linux, so it is having knowledge of converting it to machine which can be run on a Linux system. But if this JVM is of your cell phone and if this JVM is of Macintosh, so it will have knowledge about its platform and its hardware. So that's the reason they developed JVMs for every platforms in the globe. Getting? So bytecode, what it is, I told you. Every Java executable is a bytecode. Means whenever you say this is a Java executable, so immediately you should remember it is a bytecode. Getting? It is a hypothetical machine code or a virtual machine code, or you can say it's a code for your JVM. Getting? And I guess some information about JVM you have got to know now. Okay, its main role is conversion. Getting? But other roles also it performs, like garbage collection, okay, memory allocation, then thread scheduling. These all are the common functionalities which OS also do. Therefore, in many interviews they ask like JVM is a platform. Can we say JVM is a platform? So yes, it's a virtual platform on your underlying platform. Means the underlying is hardware. Above that, OS. It's a layer system. No? Hardware. Above that, it is OS. Above that, this virtual platform. And above that, your Java applications. Getting? Means your Java applications don't have direct access to hardware. So your applications, JVM converts to machine code, and with the help of OS services, they are given to the hardware for execution. Getting? Cannot be executed by your underlying machine. Can it be run directly? No, because it's not in their understandable form. So JVM is the role player. The important role player is JVM, which will do the interpretation, that is line by line translation of bytecode to machine code. And then that machine code is given to the underlying CPU for execution. Getting? I hope it is clear to you guys. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Very good. Getting? Then what we'll do is quickly we have some time, so we can go with one more feature and then we will wind up with today's session. So one more feature we'll see, that is platform independent and portable. Okay? So what do you mean by platform independent and portable? That I'll tell you. Platform independency meaning you don't have to change your source code, okay, for any systems. let the system be anything, your source code will remain same. In some languages, we have to make some changes. The best example is like C. If you're running a C program on, because for C language, the compilers available are of different companies. Like there is a Borland, Turbo Borland. They have made their compilers. Microsoft has made their compiler. GNU people have made their compiler. So there are many companies who have made compilers for C. Therefore, there are little bit variations in the libraries also. Because some libraries which work in GNU compilers, they don't work in Turbo Borland. Like if you're using Turbo Borland, so there is a conio.h that doesn't work in GNU's compiler. Getting? And many more are there, like in string.h. Some string functions of Turbo are not working for GNU string function. There are, keep faith on me what I'm saying. So in that case, what happens is, like if you write a C program for X system, so the same C program, chances are less. Little bit changes you have to do. Many times it may work also, but many times you have to do changes also. If you want to run it on some other system, right? Compile it, not run also, compile it. Getting? Here they say your source code will remain same, irrespective on which system you are going to compile. Means your source code is not going to vary. Assume this is one system and this is another system. Okay? And you have decided to write a program for factorial. Okay? So if you are writing a factorial.java, okay, for one system, exactly same program will be there for another system. You don't have to make any change, a single letter change, though the system has changed. Means maybe this is Linux system and this is Windows, no problem. Getting on what I want to say? Clear? And now when you give this Java program to the compiler, okay, so let the compiler be Windows and let the compiler be Linux. Getting? The produced bytecode is exactly same. And that you can tally also, cross verify. If you want, I'll prove and show you. Because on my system there is a dual system, or if you run VMware, and in VMware if I go to some other OS and the same program I compile, and on Windows Java also if I compile, and I'll show you this dot class. Getting? This dot class. It will be exactly same. Even the KB size, kilobyte size or whatever, if you see this file size in the directory, exactly it will be same. Means what I want to say, if your source code is same, the bytecode has to be same, irrespective on which system you have compiled it. So if you have compiled it on Windows, if you have compiled it on Linux, doesn't matter. You compile on Linux system, you compile on Windows system, doesn't matter. If your source code is same, your bytecode will be exactly same. This is not necessary in C and C++. There can you check, like if your source code of C program is same, your produced exe for Linux and the produced exe of Windows, not same, because they are bound to that OS. And this bytecodes are they bound to any OS or are they virtual hypothetical? Getting? They are not bound to any particular OS. Like it's not bound to Windows or it's not bound to Linux. Who? This bytecode. And that is called as platform independency. Platform independency meaning that if the source code is same, the produced bytecode is same, irrespective where you compile it. You understanding? Let it be you're compiling that source code on Windows or let it be you're compiling on Linux. Whatever Java executable you'll get is exactly same. Getting? So what is platform independency? That is clear. Now we'll come to the portability rule. Now, a very simple term you can remember, portability meaning compile once and run anywhere. Even on the cell phone also you can take it. Getting? Like if you have created your program on your machine on Windows system and whatever bytecode you get it, you can give it to your cell phone JVM also and it can run it. Getting? That is portability. So portability meaning platform independency meaning if the source code is same, the produced bytecode is same. Let the OS be any on which it is compiled. If these two source codes are same, the produced bytecodes are same. Agreed? Now coming to the portability. The portability meaning what? Compile once and run anywhere. So suppose you give that bytecode to the JVM of that system, it will convert to machine code and give it to the underlying hardware for execution. But if I give the same bytecode to this JVM, I can do it cross system. This is Windows produced bytecode, but I am giving it to Linux JVM. No issues. This JVM will take this bytecode, convert it to machine code, but this machine code will be bound to that system and give the underlying hardware for execution. And vice versa. Suppose it is compiled on Linux, you got a bytecode, you gave it to Linux JVM, run. But if I give this same bytecode to Windows JVM, still that JVM will be able to convert it into machine code. You understanding or no? So this concept is called as portability. Portable meaning you got or no. Portability meaning compile it on one machine and run it on any system. Because every system is having its own JVM. Every system will have its own JVM. Don't bother. Getting? Linux will also have its JVM. Mac will also have JVM. Windows will also have JVM. So portability and platform independent. I hope you got it. So platform independency means what? If the source code is same, the produced bytecode is always same. Getting? And that is platform independency. What is portability? Compile once and run anywhere. That is, once you have compiled and you get a bytecode, can I give that same bytecode to any platform JVM? To any JVMs I can give. Every JVM can take that bytecode and convert it to underlying machine code and give it to the underlying processor. Clear? So I hope this concept is clear to you. Getting or no? And with this, the benefit is what? If suppose you have compiled this code, hear carefully, you wrote in the past some programs. You have compiled and kept that dot class. That dot class you have on your disk. They are kept in a storage in the disk. Okay. But in the future, if you upgraded your system, or in the future you have changed your OS only, you have replaced your Windows system with a Linux system, but still you have that dot class, old dot class in your machine. So can you still run that old dot class in this new system? What do you say, guys?
Yes, sir.
Why it is possible? Because the new
Portability.
system, portability, but why it is portable? Because the new system is also going to have
JVM.
Clear? So as every system is having JVM, don't worry. Clear? Okay. So I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
So quickly we'll go through this and then for today we'll take a pause. Okay. See you. I hope from the diagram it is more clear to you. On the Windows system, I created a Java source file. I gave to the compiler of Java. It produced a Java executable and I gave it to that Windows JVM only. Okay, Windows JVM will convert to machine code, run it. Same source code. The source code is same and I am giving it to the compiler of Linux. I got a bytecode. Getting? So if I check these bytecodes, will they be exactly same irrespective of the OS? Will this bytecode and this bytecode be same if your source code is same? Yes or no, guys? If the source code is same, will the bytecode be same?
Yes.
Irrespective of the platform. Don't worry about the platform. If your source code is same, the produced bytecode is exactly same. And that is platform independency. And portability means cross running. Like this bytecode I'm giving to its JVM, but I can give the same bytecode to this JVM. Still it will be able to run. Getting? And that is the beauty of this language. Getting? That is the beauty of Java. Okay, you can compile it once and you can run it anywhere. So quickly we'll discuss about it. So platform independent means if the source code is same, the produced bytecode is same. That is platform independency. Yeah? Remember, if the source code is same, the produced bytecode is same. Okay, is always same, irrespective on which system it is compiled. And portability meaning same bytecode can be run on any system. Same bytecode you can give it to any JVM. Okay, see here. The same bytecode can be executed on any JVM irrespective of the platform. Getting? Can I do it cross? In the diagram I showed, can I do the cross thing? Means can I give the Linux based bytecode to Windows JVM or Windows bytecode to Linux JVM? Yes. And not only that, on the same system, if you upgrade your system, upgrade or you have replaced it. Previously you had Windows, okay, and you had created one Java project in the past, but now you have removed Windows and you have put Linux. Getting? So can I run that old bytecodes? Yes, because the new system is also going to have JVM. Only there will be one drawback is there. Only one drawback. It won't be possible if you are going towards backward compatible. It's not backward compatible. Like suppose previously you did it in Java 1.5 suppose. Getting? But now the new system is having Java 1.8. No problem. You can run the previous version in the higher. But suppose previous system was having 1.8 and you replaced and now you have gone in 1.5. It won't. Then it will say please recompile it again. Getting? Only that is the drawback. Okay. So if there is a system upgradation or change in the OS or any other system resources, still the old bytecodes you can run on the new system, because new system is also going to have its own JVM. There is no need to do recompilation of your source code. And this feature means only what? Compile once, run anywhere. And is this benefit taken by these people to make Java as a language of internet? That is the reason Java became the language of internet. Why? Because internet is a connection of heterogeneous machines. So can I create one program only and can the same program be downloaded on any machine in the globe? And can they all run the same bytecode? Yes, indeed. Why can't they? Because they all will be having their own JVMs. Getting? And never the data type sizes change, which happen in C-like language. In C, I'm sure those who might have used Turbo Borland and all, or those who have read some books of Y.P. Kanetkar and all, the old editions, he has explained everything with respect to Turbo C. So in that integer size is 2 byte. But if you use GNU compilers, so integer becomes 4 byte. Getting or no? So data type is int only, but some system take 2 bytes, some system take 4. This will never happen in Java. Java says if it is 4 byte, throughout everywhere it is 4 byte only. From system to system, the data type sizes never vary. Getting or no? That is the benefit. Okay. Only the limitation I said that every machine in the globe should have JVM. Which problem is no more now? Do you think now at today's generation, will this problem remain? No, because today all the operating systems come along with them with the JVM. whenever you install Windows or anything in your system, JVM is sure going to be there. It will never happen. Getting? And only the other issue is like backward compatible, right? See, no more. This issue is now no more because nearly every OS comes with JVM, who has developed Sun Microsystem. Getting? And the other drawback I said, like if you have, if you go to the previous version, then the higher version backward are not compatible. Forward compatibility is there. Older version can be run in the higher version easily. Okay? Okay. So till here, I hope it is clear to you people. Okay? Okay. Pratik is asking something. If the source code is same, the produced bytecode is same. Okay. So that is portable. That is that is platform independency. And portability meaning the same bytecode can be given to any JVM. Right? So you're 100% right, Pratik. Clear? Okay. So I hope everything is clear, whatever I told you. Few more features we'll be seeing in the next session. And then I'll take you to programming part. That is how to write first Java code and all that we'll discuss. Okay guys? Okay? So for today we'll stop all of you. Thank you all of you. Please take care.